Hello, everybody. Thank you for joining us at the Lions Impact Hub. This is part of the Impact Briefs that we are doing with Act Responsible. Thank you so much to Isa and Sophie, wherever you are, and welcoming us with open arms. My name is Touseef Mirza. I am the co-CEO of Purpose Hive. We help brands and organizations use purpose as a strategy for growth, and we do that through branding, marketing, workshops, and business transformation. So today I am extremely grateful to have the wonderful Monique Nelson joining us today. Yes. Monique is the executive chair of UWG, which is the longest-standing multicultural advertising and marketing agency in the United States. And she is also this year's jury president of GLASS, the Lions for Change.
Yes.
Yes. So before we would begin, I just wanted to, so that everybody's on the same page of what is the GLASS Lions for Change, I just wanted to call out what it is. So the Lions for Change recognizes creative work that addresses inequality and prejudice by consciously representing and empowering marginalized communities. It focuses on work that drives meaningful cultural and social impact. So this is one of the Lions that is focused on positive change, and then there's another one that is more specific on the environment, which is the Lion SDGs. So,
and then the Lion for Good.
Oh, and the Lions for Good. Yes, so we have three.
Charities.
So is this your first time as being a jury president?
It is. It is. It is quite an honor and quite a lot of responsibility.
So you've been basically judging some work since the beginning of the week?
We have been judging actually since about late March.
Oh, since late March?
Yes, late March.
Okay.
Yes, we have been hard at work for months.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yes. So we culminate here with in-person presentations. So we're one of the few juries that actually get to see the people behind the work, and they come in and present to us and get to defend in person. So that's a really, really amazing experience to be able to do that.
I didn't know that. So they literally come, they show you the work, each one of them. So how many actually did that?
So we had 14 on our short list.
Okay.
So we were able, once we get to our short list, they get invited to come and see us in person.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then there's a lot of deliberation?
There is a lot of deliberation. There is interrogation of the work. There are lots of conversations. There's a lot of back and forth. There's a lot of looking at the definition and trying to make sure that we are looking at the work like apples to apples and not apples to shoes. And it's been very rewarding. I was more surprised than I thought I would be in terms of just how rewarding and how important what we do in this particular jury is to the world, right? We're sending a message. And one of the things that I think the jury and I kept looking for is, if we were to look at this work 3-4 years from now, would we be proud of what we awarded and what we put into the world? And
then you're going to award the winner tomorrow.
Tomorrow night.
Tomorrow night. Okay.
Stay tuned.
Oh my God.
Yes.
So you talked a little bit about the definition and how do you actually evaluate that work. And I was really surprised to see how tangible it is. It's not just like, oh, I like this one, and XYZ reasons. It's actually on a criteria. And so I believe it's 50% of the work is evaluated on impact, 25% on creativity, and 25% on strategy.
Correct.
So can you tell us a little bit about the impact part? How is that assessed?
Yeah, I mean, it's so, when we think about it in just our all everyday work, right? Did the work do what it said it was going to do? What did you set out to deliver to your community? And for this one, that may be a part of it. But when we look at the work now, it's, we have plenty of creative categories. So now it's a matter of, did the creative and the strategy actually move this to do something that either didn't exist or wouldn't be as far along without it? So you have to be thoughtful around the fact that there could be great intentions for the work, but it didn't actually do anything just yet. Or, wow, this had great impact, but ultimately, did the creative help drive it or did the strategy drive it? Because sometimes there's impact without creativity. So it's a really delicate balance, right? Because we're all advertising executives and we do work all the time, but this may not be the work that you do particularly all the time. So making sure that we put it through a lens of, is the impact tangible? Is it net new? And ultimately, did the creative move it along? And that really helps us balance that out so that we don't get caught up in the beauty or the elegance of the process.
And so, for example, what you just said in terms of looking at the impact, sometimes depending on the type of work that we're looking at and the type of topic that it's addressing, it might take a little bit longer for that community, because sometimes it's a paradigm shift, right? Especially when we talk about social change.
Absolutely.
So, but you're evaluating now, and the work probably, since the past year. So are you taking into account that maybe eventually, like, this is so good, it's just a question of people to change with it? Or are you really looking at it more in terms of the immediacy of the change metric?
Interestingly enough, it could be both, right? Depending on what the work was aimed to do. Sometimes net new, like no one's ever thought about this or no one ever put these pieces together, is actually the impact, right? The fact that it's now in the world is super important. Now there's others that you can actually see tangible outcomes. They changed a piece of legislation, a community was actually, uplifted, or they were contributed to in a way that was very, very impactful and ultimately has changed the trajectory of their future. It depends on what it is. The other piece that's within GLASS is that we have product and service, we have initiatives, as well as charities. So as you can imagine, those three would have different types of impact based on those criteria as well.
Okay, so yes, a lot of deliberations, like you were saying.
Yes.
I can
and
see.
yet
I
we
can
only
see that.
get to award, 4 or 5, right, amongst all three. So it's not like we get to give. We wanted to give at least, we would, if we could award in each category, everybody would win, right? Right. So.
Right. Considering the world that we live in, there's just so much chaos. There's a lot of issues when it comes to social change. Do you feel, without giving too much away, because I know we're going to see the winners tomorrow, but do you feel that the advertising creative community is bringing about the bold ideas that are needed to address the intensity of what we're feeling in 2026 in terms of the social impact?
That's a tough one.
Okay.
I would say I felt a bit tempered, this year. I think everyone was feeling a bit timid. But the beauty of GLASS this year, I think, especially after last year, expanding the category, I think has allowed us to empower and impact more people and get more stories. But you certainly, can see, especially, from the brand side, and, you've got to give people grace, in a time of pressure. If you're on a more conservative scenario, you've got to be conservative in your answers. And for those that are, much more emboldened to push that envelope, they've done that. So, I believe there's room. It's an and, not an or. And the pendulum always swings. So, we give grace where it's due, but we saw a very, very, very strong amount of work this year. So proud of what we did get.
I love that answer, because you're really saying that it requires the context
Absolutely.
in which to actually react to and not necessarily have like a rebound effect either.
Absolutely.
Or else the effectiveness might not even happen in the first place.
No, not at all. And you do what you can in all moments, right? Contextually, depending on what's happening in the world, you work within what's available to you.
And just in general, would you say that there are certain areas where you found that there was more focus in terms of the social impact areas?
I wouldn't say that, no.
Okay.
Not at all, especially because it's global. We were able to see a really broad swath of work, right? And I love that it's not all concentrated in one place or another, and you get to get solutions and answers from places in the world that I think can be spread. So that's really exciting too, right? To be able to, pick up a solution from a place that's pretty unusual and then say, wow, that could work everywhere, right? What a great way to solve that challenge. Mm-hmm. And that's really empowering because you don't necessarily get to see that every day. And if they had not entered into Cannes Lion, then the world may have never seen it. So I think just showing up and just putting yourself out there to show that, here's what we're doing to solve a problem that's pretty ubiquitous around the world, and here's how we're doing it, is a wonderful way to spread empowerment, to spread, social change, and give people the keys or a bit of the breadcrumbs as to how they could potentially solve it in their own community.
This is, it reminds me, this is my second Cannes, and so last year I had a chance to look at all of the work, and one of the things that really came to me was the fact that by looking at the work like that, you actually get to see, especially social impact work, you really start to understand the issues that certain communities are facing through the creative work.
Absolutely.
Which otherwise might not necessarily come to the surface. And so it was also it was almost like a documentary for me,
Right.
because you learn so much based on the creative. So I found that really amazing to see it from that perspective.
Absolutely. The one thing about what we do is all of our work needs to be in culture and in context. So it should be a reflection of actually what's happening in the world and how those creatives and those strategists and that community respond to it.
Mm-hmm. So speaking of awards, you also got an award. UWG got an award earlier this year from Ad Age. Yes, congratulations.
Thank you.
For Multicultural Agency of the Year.
Yes.
And so just to set the level playing field, I like to bring things a lot of time just to basic level. So Multicultural Agency of the Year, from your perspective, when we say multicultural, because we hear diversity, inclusion, and so forth, how do you define multicultural?
Well, at this stage and in this day and time, it's cultural intelligence. Right? How do we bring cultural intelligence to the forefront to help solve our clients' challenges and problems? It is not something that can be bucketed, right? It's not something that can be pinpointed. It's something that moves. And at the end of the day, we haven't been here and we haven't been in existence for 56 years for no reason. And for this to be our first time being Multicultural Agency of the Year was pretty epic, but also showed just how much cultural intelligence or multiculturalism is a necessary ingredient to everything that we do. And I know culture, is pretty, loosely utilized, and for good reason, right? It's all around us, and it moves us all, whether we know it or not. So it was a really proud honor for us. It's really important for us, and certainly for 56 years of it, we have evolved with it. We have partnered with it, and most certainly we feel like we have honored it. And we continue to let that be our beacon and our guide as to making sure that we remain in context and bringing our clients those very timely and immediate answers against their growth and their sustainability.
So when you say cultural intelligence, can you give us an example of how you work with your clients?
Sure. Well, when I first got into this business, and that meaning into multicultural marketing. I had been on the client side before. One of the things that I noticed is that there was a lack of data, right? We would go into clients and we would tell them how important, communities that were, underserved and undervalued and overlooked were, and they would turn around and say, well, where are the numbers? And I said, that's so interesting. We have numbers on everything else. Why don't we have it against, cultural nuance and communities? So we really started to build that out. And we are proud to have our Unicultural Intelligence Network, which is, full of that data. And now with AI,
here we go.
Oh boy, take your drink. We've been able to really, make sure that that gets infused relatively quickly, that our strategists are able to bring that to life, and that our clients can actually see the movement, right? We've gone from it being an idea or a hypothesis to being something that they can actually tangibly take a look at, and we can watch the performance. So, that has really evolved us out of just being advertising, and we believe being a cultural intelligence business partner, because that's really what it is, right? If you aren't hitting your targets, if you are not meeting the needs of the community that you're saying you're serving, then you're not in business. So we come in to say, here's the intelligence that we believe you need for potential blind spots or white space that we believe you have the opportunity to fill.
So when you have those conversations, sometimes you talked about cultural nuance. If we're literally talking about, like, how direct are you? Because some people really feel uncomfortable talking about we need to have more, black and brown people. It is not part of the segmentation. You're not taking into account, and you do. Right. Or the LGBTQIA plus community. Sure. And some people might be uncomfortable even talking about that. How do you have that exchange in a truthful way and in a genuine way to continue with the project?
Well, one of the things I do is try to take the anxiety out of it. Is it truly a black and brown problem, or is it a community problem? Let's take sneakers, right? Sneakerheads. Disproportionately, people of color that participate, but not exclusively. So how do we break down what that community reacts to? And then ultimately, where does race, ethnicity, gender come into play, right? There's so many things that contribute to that particular community. And while your race, your ethnicity, your socioeconomic may disproportionately impact that, that's where we would talk about, here's what's important to this group. Even as we entered this DEI backlash, a lot of clients were very concerned. And one of the things I had to say is, DEI is just a title. You're actually doing things underneath, right? Is it your ERG to help people with belonging? You're going to continue to do that. That makes sense. Is it recruitment and retention, right? Because you want to make sure that you don't lose money through turnover. You're going to continue to do that work. I don't care what you call it, okay. Right? That doesn't offend me if you continue to do the work. And surprisingly, when you look at the numbers, many people did not retreat from doing the work. They may have changed the name. And again, give people grace in a time where they're under attack. Who doesn't want to self-preserve and make sure that they can live to see the other side? We want them to be able to get to the other side of what could be an attack that is not, not valuable and or, not productive.
Well, you already said this word twice, and I was going to bring it up, so I'll bring it a third time, is the word grace.
Yes.
Right? So Monique taught me this, is that you can say anything as long as you say it with grace.
That's right.
And every time if there's a heated situation in my life, you literally pop up in my brain going, okay,
I love
how am I actually going to address this with grace? Because anything can be addressed. I just have to find the way. So I think that's what you're saying also,
Yes.
right? It's like, what is that way that's going to help land everything and not actually polarize anything and make it harder? Why make it harder if we can find a different way to get there? We're still going to get there either way.
We are. And we have to. Think about it. Most brands can't afford to ignore a group of people if they would like to see growth. That's counterproductive, right? And we are, at the end of the day, still in business. So how do we come up with solutions that allow for you to continue being ongoing concern, without, the loss of potential, positive business?
You talked about this a little bit in terms of, you've been doing this, you've been leading UWG almost 20 years, is that correct?
No, I'm closer to 15 now.
Closer to 15.
But I've been there almost 20 years.
Okay, all right,
Yes,
that's how I read that. All right, so almost 15, which is a lot. Okay, still a lot. And you've seen so much fluctuation in this space. And even just the past 6 years have been
Crazy.
insane.
Banana pants.
Banana pants. So how do you stay grounded? What's your ritual? What do you do to navigate through all of this craziness of up and down, left and right?
Well, one, you've got to be really firm in your purpose, right? Our purpose has never changed. We are very steadfast on that. So I know what I get up every morning to do. Now, whether or not I get a 10-day or an A day or a 1 day or an F day, it is the purpose of getting up and doing that work. The other thing is, grounded with family, my children, my husband, my parents, my friend group, my team, they all contribute every day to making sure that I'm not crazy to be doing this, right? They validate that, my crazy's good. But also making sure that they bolster me when I have those days of being unsure and, is this okay or am I right? And, right or wrong, hey, Mo, go for it, right? Let's do that. And then lastly, we just talked about, you got to go to sleep.
You got to go to sleep. We love sleep.
We love sleep.
Yes.
You have to sleep. Sometimes I'm asleep before my children. I'm on my first good dream by, 10:30.
Sleep is so underrated. We should start every talk with sleep.
With a nap, that's it.
That can help creativity.
Everything.
That can help our stress levels. Yes, it's all of the above. A little bit in the same vein, being a Black woman in this space where you sometimes might interact with clients or prospects that are not necessarily including literally people of like yourself. How do you process that? And does it affect you personally, or the purpose is actually much bigger and wider and, it doesn't affect you as much?
Everywhere I go, there I am.
Yes, you are.
Right?
With all your fabulousness.
With everything. And it's a part of who I am. And I want you to see all of me. And unapologetically, because I can't be anything else. Kind of stick out, right? And that's part of what you're getting. So the one thing I often say is you take it or leave it, right? And those that don't feel comfortable probably won't be in the mix anyway. But I often tell folks that, people know where they're coming. They know where they're coming to me, why they're coming to my organization, because they want a different point of view. And I appreciate going into a room of other and taking it in, right? This is a continuous learning process. Culture will shift and change. Sometimes it's comfortable. Most of the time it's uncomfortable. So I'm really comfortable with being uncomfortable.
I mean, that's basically the subhead of a leader, I find.
Yes.
Right?
I don't mind it. I know that that's going to be that pressure test. I tell people all the time it feels like a new workout, right? When you go to do a new workout, the first couple workouts, it hurts, right? You're sore. And that's because you're working a new muscle. You're doing something outside of what you are used to. And that follows through in everything.
But then you add weight, and then you get sore again, even if it's the
Yes.
same muscle.
Yes, it does. Exactly.
So even if you're doing the same thing, sometimes it's just a heavier load,
That's
even in the
right.
leadership as well. So,
That's right.
yeah.
So just continue to look at it that way and make sure that you are sharing, right? A lot of times I remember in my early leadership, taking it all on and really feeling like I was the only one to be able to do that. And my body taught me that that was not the case. My body rejected that and really forced me to get help and lean on people to ensure that our collective win was important. And that has really saved me, and I'm very proud of the team I have put around me, and we continue to lean on each other. And the old adage of if you want to go far, go together. You want to go fast, go alone. And the go far and go together is my mantra today.
Okay.
So.
Can I ask you one last question?
Sure.
Thank you. So, is there something that you are feeling or you're seeing or that you know that you, either whether it's about leadership, either it's about creativity, either it's about social impact, but that you feel that other people are not seeing, that you wish they did, right? It's obvious to you.
I will leave you with, yes, that inclusion does not mean belonging.
Please say more.
I find that people don't mind, I put a bunch of people in the room and, they're all here, but you haven't really made them feel welcome and truly, like they belong there, right? And I think we've all been there, and that continues. That's kind of something that I've continued to see happen, and I'm always shocked that it's still happening. That you can invite me to the party, but it doesn't mean that I'm having a good time, right?
That I'm not being taken care
Correct.
of. I'm just there physically, period.
I'm here.
I'm here. And now what?
Now what?
Nothing's happening.
Right? Nobody
That's
came
such a
over
good point.
No one came over to see how I was doing. Would I like something to drink? Would I prefer something to eat? Can I join a conversation? And I think that's really important. I think we have to continue that. That's a human fracture that I think we have that I really look forward to continuing to fight.
I love that. Thank you so much for sharing that. And it's almost like it's coming full circle. It's about caring for people, which is the social impact as well, but also on an individual perspective.
That's right.
Okay.
And thank you for all that you do. We really appreciate what you're doing at Purpose Hive. We want to make sure that purpose and profit are always aligned.
Thank you, Monique. Thank you so much for joining us. You rock.